The political system in India is such that it is very hard for any government which is currently in power to have a long-term 50-year vision. This system is such that the system is unstable. Every 5 years there's an election, and you don't really know who's going to come to power in the next term. So it's really hard for India to have a long term vision. So I expect that every single political party which aspires to be in power or which is in power right now would have a long term vision for the country, but it has never been explicitly stated. So, for instance, the current government of India, which is the ruling party is the BJP, it has never published a 50-year vision or a vision 2047 as such for India. As far as I know, it's not been done, and neither has any other political party. So the system is such that it is not possible for a party to be sure that it's going to be in power for the next 20 years or 30 years. And therefore, it's very hard for them to have a vision like that. I am sure that the current ruling dispensation would have some kind of vision that it would like for the country in the next 20-30 years, but it has never been published as such. And on the other hand, the Chinese government is very clear about where it wants to be in 2049, which is like you said, the centennial of the coming to power of the Chinese Communist Party. They aspire to replace and displace the US as the global hegemonic power, the sole superpower in the world. So they are very clear about that. And since they have a stable political system, which is essentially a one-party dictatorship, that's why they are able to plan in that manner. They are able to have consecutive 10-year plans, and then they are able to have a 50-year vision, a 100-year vision, because they are pretty certain that they're going to be in power for that long. In a democracy, we have a different kind of setup, so we're not quite sure where we're going to be. On the other hand, if you take a third example, the United States has had a remarkably consistent foreign policy. Whichever dispensation comes to power, whether it's the Democrats or the Republicans or whoever is the president, the foreign policy is remarkably consistent, which points to the existence of what is colloquially called the deep state, which is the true power, where the true power really resides in the United States. And that is where the foreign policy decisions and policies are framed and decisions are made. So the foreign policy has been remarkably consistent in the US. In India, we have seen repeatedly that when a new dispensation comes to power, very often the foreign policy decisions and policies are completely reversed. For instance, when Morarji Desai came to power, he immediately compromised all of our intelligence assets in various neighboring countries, especially in Pakistan. Immediately disclosed the existence of these assets, and they were all neutralized. Once again, when I.K. Gujral came to power, for just 3 months, he did the exact same thing. And when you have a new, let's say the Congress party comes to power, they essentially have a tendency to reverse whatever the BJP was doing in terms of foreign policy, in terms of all those things. So India's foreign policy, unfortunately, depends on whoever is in power, their whims and fancies. Sometimes it is a very responsible government, sometimes not so responsible, especially when you have a coalition government, when you have a government that is not strong enough and weak and may not last very long, but still they have the power to make foreign policy decisions, and which may not always be aligned with the best interest of the nation. So that's why India doesn't seem to have, as far as I can see, a coherent, consistent, long-term foreign policy. I'm sure the current government does have a vision, but I don't think they've explicitly stated it. If they stay in power for a long period of time, they'll be able to work on that. But this is the inherent problem and weakness of the Indian governance system.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.